Welcome everyone to the RtG Baseball podcast, where we travel down the road to glory, 1 week at a time. We're going to break down the week that was in fantasy, check out the leaders in the league, and then pivot to this week's IRL baseball topic, managers. What are they good for? I'm your host and commissioner, Coach Will. And I'm joined tonight not by your resident Red Sox fan, but instead a fellow Yankees fan and long-standing member of the league. I give you Coach Viraj.
How's it going?
Oh, it goes well. Finally have a like-minded fellow on here.
Yes, I'm very happy. It's a privilege to be here.
As it should. Especially, it's feeling good coming off of for almost every episode of this podcast, I've had to start with, it's another disaster week for the Yankees, which is mainly Devin Williams' fault because we keep recording after his horrible blown saves. But lately, things have actually been good. Subway Series win. Juan Soto didn't crush us. So vibes are good.
Vibes are definitely good. We're on the up and up, at least compared to early on.
Yes. And that's not just true for our Yankees, but as I was taking a look around the league, because we're all 8 games in, 7 matchups in, and we are really starting to take shape of who looks like it's going to be forces in the league. Even you yourself, big win last week. Things were looking shaky, but hopefully this is the beginning of your team stabilizing itself.
Yeah, I mean, I had a bunch of losses in a row, so it was good to get that win in to break that 4-game. Actually, no, I think it was 5-game losing streak.
And right now, the standings is looks pretty cool. So there's grouped at the top are 4 teams all at 6-2. That's yours truly, Nate, Nick, and Eric. Then there are 2 teams in the middle. That would be Mighty Taco and Petrified Manholes, Coaches Show and Phil. And normally, that's the end of the story. For most of this league's existence, half the league makes the playoffs. That's 6 teams in the playoffs. But we talked about a couple times here. This is the first year we've had a real wild card, the way that real life baseball does it. So there is a 7th team that makes the playoffs. And it's a 4-way tie. That 4-way tie is the defending champion himself, Mehtab, Brian, Jamie, and you. So you are part of this group of all people who have had a slow start, 3-5, but you're all clustered together right there.
Yeah, it's a lot of clusters. You break it into classes right there, and then you got Andrew and Rachel at the bottom there. Unfortunately, seems like. So.
Yeah, it's not looking good for my bet of 7 wins for Coach Rachel.
Yes, and 0-8. The bad part is just whoever. It's like whoever loses to the Rockies. It's like whoever loses to her is just going to feel really bad.
No, don't bring up. Why does I try to forget with the Rockies. I literally just needed them to not be the worst team in the National League. That's all that Andrew betted with. He could have said last place in the NL West, but he doubled down oh, they're going to be last place for the entire season in the whole National League. Not one day will they be out of last place. And I took that bet because surely at some point, for a brief moment. But no, they're just being the worst team ever to play baseball. Terrible.
Why don't we take it a step further since we're talking about the Rockies? Over and under 30 wins for the year.
30 wins. Come on. There's 30 wins. This is not looking good for me. I'm on a bad streak, but they gotta win. They gotta win 31 games. They gotta.
So basically, at least right now, they're on pace for 29 plus wins, 30 that range. So that's why I said 30. So all right, let's make it maybe just a little bit tougher. Over and under 35.
Hmm. No, they gotta. I mean, they'd be the worst team ever to play baseball. They gotta win more. They will win. They will win 55 games. That's my official number.
All right, so
55.
you take the over 35. I'll take the under 35.
All right, great.
We'll
I'm
see.
gonna go.
It's down in the
I'm gonna go.
books.
I'm gonna go over for all my bets this year. It's gonna be so sad.
I mean, speaking of historically bad, I think like one of the other podcasters said that like the last team that was like this bad was like 1912, 1906, something like that. So like, yeah, I don't think they'll be the worst of all time because like apparently there's just been bad teams. Like it's just been a long time. So, of course, like they could just do worse. But yeah, they're definitely up there or down there depending on how you view it.
Yeah, I mean, in this league, I I'm usually good with this. I don't have the stats on hand for records in any RTG league, but I know there has not been a defeated season. No one's gone 0 for the season. So that is what Coach Rachel's trying to avoid here. Um, and now look, she's like officially like stats. She's 3 games out of a playoff spot technically, because she's 3 games away from being with all the other 3 and 5 teams. Um, but it has to be concerning. Is if you were in Coach Rachel's shoes, or even Coach Andrew, who is not that much better at 2-6, what is to be done as a man? The theme of the episode is going to be things you can do as a manager in fantasy and real life. So as a fantasy manager, what do you do about this?
Well, basically, I mean, like how you said how she's still in it is like comparing it to how the Rockies are still in it. Technically, they're not mathematically eliminated, but they're
They're
eliminated.
21 games out of first place.
But are they mathematically eliminated?
They're
No,
not.
exactly. So it's the same with Ray. I'm just making the comparison, because you said she's still in it, and I say not really. But
Shots fired. All right.
but I'm just pointing it out. This year, I mean, no, like you said, no one's really went 0-8. It's just a historical year.
Well, no one's gotten 0 for the whole season. Is what I'm saying.
No, I don't think
this
anyone's went
so
0-8 though, right? Like to start off,
I can't rule that out.
can't
There's a
really.
lot. There's a lot of leagues.
Okay. Well, I just like the one that we do. That's what I mean. Okay, so basically what she should do, well, she should follow what the managers do. I mean, the teams did with their managers and fire them.
You
Fire
want her to
new-
resign as manager. You are not the first person to say that. That was also Coach Show's sentiment. But consider that in this, it's like the GM is also the manager. So GM's not going to fire themselves. So outside of firing themselves,
I guess basically making sure you don't have injured players on like the active roster. That's a big one for everybody, but I don't know if that's been the case for her. Maybe think about doing some ad drops, change it up, mix it up. Don't do the Yankees and just like run it back. Gotta change something.
the good old the run it back play. This isn't a GM episode necessarily, but we've been doing for 30 years the run it back at Gia, which is wild. The matchup, one of our closest matches. Is it the closest? I believe it was the closest matchup this week was actually involving Coach Rachel, who's facing Mehtab. Mehtab has also had a very uncharacteristically poor start to the season. Like he has had slow starts, but he had a bad start. Like he was 1-5 at one point. And this was actually a slugfest. Both teams scored above average. We established a couple previous episode that around the 540 mark has been average in this small sample size of the season. So they both scored above average, 594.5 for Mehtab and 581.5 for Rachel. How do you think Mehtab was feeling as Sunday morning comes and they're only like 10 points apart?
Sweating bullets, that's for sure. No one wants to be the first loss against her. That's just like big smear on your record
Yeah.
and like your ability and stuff. So he definitely was sweating bullets, and it ended up even just being close within 15 points. So even just throughout the rest of the day, it's like you can never really feel too safe until it's over. So definitely sweating bullets. Mehtab's performance is basically reflecting like how the stock market and economy has done so far this year. He's like, Mr. High Class was like, oh, I'm becoming like low class. Portfolio suffering. So his fantasy also suffered with it. But
I
that's
see.
tradition.
That actually, there's some truth to that in general. Like as a fantasy manager, you have outside things that affect you, affect your mood, affect your attentiveness, and that leads into fantasy. And then suddenly, before you know it, you like set like a couple bad lineups, and you get in serious trouble. I'm just going through Rachel's team from last week, and like I said, this was a high scoring matchup, and a lot of solid for once, a lot of solid performers. Excuse me, performers for Team Legit Queen Stay Queen. Cattell Marte was a standout, and Cattell Marte probably is her number one player just in general. And then uh, we had a pair of 2-start pitchers in Yusei Kikuchi and Tyler Mahle. A good relief outing by Jason Adam. Uh, the pieces are here on this team, but it will definitely take some shrewd managerial decisions, I think, to maximize her performance every week. It's like in real life, like you want a manager that brings out the best of your players. So she needs to really bring out the best of her lineup every week. And that is partly what happened last week. Like part of it's getting those 2-star pitchers in. Next step might be like, hey, who like let me make sure I'm getting quality uh performers at each position. Like especially relief pitchers, easy to neglect. I'm trying to think of these more niche things like winning on the margin. What does winning on the margins look like for a fantasy manager? Like have you cared about your relief pitchers this year so far?
And they're like the least paid attention to. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah.
Right. So, but like I think that would be an example of trying to win on the margins. Like no one's paying attention to relievers, so you would think there might be some good opportunities on free agency right now of relievers that can set you apart, whether that's true relievers or sparps, starting pitchers who are eligible relief pitcher. Whereas like people want a big first baseman. So it's less likely there's gonna be like a awesome first baseman to go find on free agency.
Yeah, I forget how it is in this league. I remember in the past, like you couldn't drop. There's undroppables. Like you're just gonna randomly drop, which makes sense because like you can just like drop like one of your star players on purpose. Like someone pays you something in your pocket, and then drop your player, and then you're like, oh,
Well,
I'm gonna
see,
pick him up.
yeah. If I find out that happens, then you'll just be excommunicated from Road to Glory forever, and you'll never be spoken of ever again.
But would we really? I mean, look at my team name. What's my team name? Well,
Your team name is blasphemous. It doesn't deserve to be uttered on this podcast.
Corrupt Commish. There's a reason for that. And my profile picture reflects that.
I think you'll find that your commissioner has ruled with a firm but just fist to
Yeah,
make sure all goes well.
with eye pokings and stuff. Yeah, we all know what happened. We all know Barry slipped a little something in your pocket, and then you ignore eye pokings.
Look, this is
Turn to
neither
blind bait.
the time nor the place to air dirty laundry. We got to focus on giving sound advice to the current generation
That's fair. So
of
you admit,
fantasy
but you're
managers.
basically. It sounds like you're admitting that did happen. It's
No, I
true.
can neither confirm nor deny that anything occurred that day.
But
But
yes,
what, but yeah, but what I can confirm is, uh, it actually was a great week for Rachel. Just that it wasn't quite enough credit to Mehtab because we're getting a lot of criticism on this show, but he showed up this week, and by he I mean Ohtani showed up. Fernando Tatis showed up.
Wait, which Ohtani showed up?
Oh, that would be the batter Ohtani.
Yeah, you never know with him. I know he's still not pitching, but just never know.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. Like, hopefully he pitch. I mean, I think we'd all love to see him pitch. I haven't even heard what's up with that. So
as of last I heard was like he was just like throwing bullpens or not bullpen, like those type of things. But that's like pretty like vague. So he's not close. I don't know what their plans are because like he's such a good hitter that like they may not want to rock the boat with that. Especially since like it might interfere with his hitting. Like, oh, like he's because like if you kind of look at his Dodgers days, like he wasn't like this good of a hitter. I know there's other circumstances, but it can affect him, like focusing on pitching while trying to hit. So I can see why they wouldn't want to do that. And it worked last year. He stayed as DH. They won it all. So that's when you run it back, if ever.
Sure. I mean, yeah. The Dodgers will be a topic a little bit later, actually.
Okay.
In that respect. But still, like now looking at the other side of the matchups, looking at Mehtab's players. So we just talked about like, hey, maybe an avenue to win at the margins is at reliever. So he has an example of he had a true reliever, the Cardinals closer, and then he has a sparp in Jackson Jobe who had 2 starts. So a 2-start reliever is a pretty good way to get extra points because if you think about it, you might have a 1-start relief pitcher who's actually a starter, but they could just have a bad start. And now it's like a -10 when like an average regular relief pitcher is probably going to get you 30 points. I mean, Helsley scored 39 points and he pitched twice all week. He pitched 2 innings, got 2 saves. It's almost 40 points.
It can go either way. It can really help you or it can really hurt you. So, like, would I want? I don't know if Will Warren is like a relief pitcher, but like, I wouldn't want him for 2 starts. I don't think I would want him for 1 start. Like, he's just like bad. So, it can hurt you. And here's a prime example: the 2017 fantasy league. I switched out Archie Brad. Still remember the players. I switched out Archie Bradley for Andrew Kashner. And Andrew Kashner had 2 starts that week. And if only I did not do that change, not only would I have won that game, but if I just kept that same thing for the rest of the playoffs, because I forgot, like being a little bit early on, I would have won the whole thing.
Well, Michael K does say, "Well, let's see the predetermined outcome." So we can't be sure.
No, like I checked later. Like I think like it shows you like the points.
Oh no, I believe you, but I'm saying in the exhilaration from winning that earlier matchup, perhaps you then would have made different decisions.
That's what I'm saying. Like if I just didn't touch anything, I just left it the way it was and not did that Andrew Kashner. I just kept it the way. But yeah, if I messed,
but imagine you would have been so excited. You meddled and it worked out. You would just want to meddle again.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just to make an example of the dangers of because Andrew Kashner failed at both. Maybe if he just failed at 1 start and just did decent the other, like I maybe could have. I think I probably wouldn't survive. But yeah, like just like even just 2 like mediocre starts, and that would have been enough. But no.
Yeah. So it's a determination to make. I think there's areas where if you're an active manager, it goes beyond sorting by who scored the most points on free agency this year. It's identifying like a position other people are neglecting, and maybe there's like, I'm gonna get this person for a month. I think they're on a hot streak, and the moment they're done with the hot streak, I'm swapping them for the next person on a hot streak, whether it's a hitter or a pitcher. But on the other hand, if you're someone who is in the lead right now, like in the standings, or is like a good points for team. So like switching to my matchup this week, it was high-powered action between Coach Nick and myself. Like I would expect us two to be a little more cautious and run it back more often than not because things are working. And if they don't, we have buffer now for things to go wrong. Like, right now I added a Javi Bias to my team, which I never thought I would utter those words. And it's working out. I mean, he's doing great. But I don't expect this to continue. So, I mean, not that anyone needs to follow my advice specifically, but at some point I'm probably gonna drop Javi Bias. I don't think he's long for my team, but he's on my team now and I'm enjoying.
I mean, a month and a half has passed, so I don't know if that's fair to say, but well, it depends. Like, did you draft him or
I
at
did
the
not
end?
draft him. No.
You just picked him. Okay. Yeah. I mean, even if you do drop him, it's like, well, you didn't really have to spend much for him. So, but do you have a viable backup or someone that's like there? Or you're just gonna look on the free agency and just pick up like
No,
whoever.
just pick somebody up.
Oh, okay. Then I'd be like, nah, like unless like enough time passes where he like is bad again, then perhaps that's like not the best way to go about it. Like, let's say he's like still kind of hitting like this for the next 2 months. You're just gonna drop him, or you're just gonna wait until he kind of starts getting continuous like not playing as well.
I'll probably wait till he's on the downswing.
Okay.
So like maybe he's not like I'm not gonna wait. Like imagine you have someone like it's been 6 weeks or it's maybe 7 weeks in real baseball, and you got someone batting 320. Like I probably am not gonna wait for that batting average to say 240.
Yes.
When it gets to like 270, it means they've been bad enough for it to lower that much. So then I'll probably be preemptive for that type of player. But like I don't know. Like I feel like for players I don't care about, I'd act like that. But for others, like I have a personal interest in, or like I have faith in them, I'll wait longer. But that's because I have the luxury of doing that. I'm high up in the standings. Uh, if it was the roles reversed, I'd be wheeling and dealing. Speaking of wheeling and dealing, we got to talk about trades too. Like that's gonna be an option for. I mean, this now includes you. Like you're part of that group in who are all 3 and 5 right now. If not necessarily these 4 teams, but just this stays true for most of the season, where a bunch of teams are clustered around that number 7 seed, which is the last playoff spot. At some point, that trade discussion is gonna be in there. So this is another, as a fantasy manager, like I know this too. It is hard to trade. It is hard to even like muster the effort to try, the courage to like. It's like I don't know, it's like interacting with people. So you gotta message somebody, but do you think at some point you're gonna pursue that too this year?
Probably not. It's just a lot of effort, and like it doesn't seem like people are willing to trade much. And like sometimes you get like troll offers, like a certain person to another person trying to trade Corey Kluber for like was that Mets pitcher
DeGrom.
DeGrom? Yes, like
Yes.
but right after Corey Kluber did his like no hitter, just like sell it on. I mean,
I mean,
it's like it's worth a try, but like
yes.
it's a troll trade. And luckily that person didn't accept because unsurprisingly Corey Kluber fell apart after that. Or this was not in this league, but this was actually even before you. When we started just in general doing fantasy, it was in my high school league where like I think Kendrys Morales like was like doing well for like a few weeks like early in the season, and he had like a walk-off home run something like that, and then he sent me the trade for Kendrys Morales for Jose Abreu. Now Jose Abreu was like a rookie or maybe like his season after his rookie season, but it was like pretty obvious. I was like, no, I'm not gonna do this trade. Just troll trades. And then I
Well,
did believe that was the year Morales got hurt too, with his leg running into home, scoring at home plate after the walk-off home.
hopefully the walk off you're talking about isn't that one, because that would mean he got injured and then the person offered you that trade.
Maybe, that could have happened.
That's dirty. That is there's no rule against it. You would not get banned from the league if you did that. But That's pretty mean.
Yeah, I can't remember, or maybe it was just like I was like looking back. It was too long. I was like looking back. I was like, oh wow, good thing I didn't accept that trade a week ago. Because like you could be fooled because Jose Abreu at that moment wasn't like a household name. It was like I said, it was like the 2011 or 2012 season. So yes, you get troll trades like that. Not often do you get like real trades, and it's a lot of effort. And sometimes like people they'll try to throw quantity at you instead of quality. They'll like give you like four like kind of useless players for like one like really good player, and it's like no, like that doesn't make any sense. Like it's not about quantity, it's about quality. Especially so like you have a roster limitation too. So it's like I will like literally have to immediately drop players to like after this trade.
Yeah, probably baseball at least has a little bit of an advantage here where we have offense and defense. We have hitting and pitching. So, because usually, like if it was another sport, it might be hard to trade. Okay, like let's say they take your advice. I'm gonna immediately reject any trade if the numbers aren't equal. So if I do that, it's kind of hard to trade between two offensive players because like it's just a wash at that point. But in baseball, like you could trade a hitter for a pitcher. Like I have a lot of pitchers, so I'm willing to give one up,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a lot of hitters. That's probably my advice. I think that's an easy thing to identify.
Yeah.
Is find if first of all, what do you have in surplus? That's the first thing. Then you could find someone who matches that. Who's the opposite, and then that's gonna be your best shot. You can do that by going to if you're on the website, players and then stats, and there's a whole bunch of things you can sort by, but one of them is going to be team totals. So that would be you'd probably go to custom reports, which is kind of in blue text on the right, and then one of them is going to be team totals. Like there's a whole bunch of things you can click on, but one of them is team totals, and that gives you like all these stats on all the teams so far. You could literally like look up who has the best ERA in the league so far, which, by the way, if you're curious, that person is Mighty Taco, Coach Show. So hypothetically, I'm going to play matchmaker right now. If it's true that Show has not just great pitching, but I guess this is, yeah, great pitching, probably surplus pitching. If that's true, he might want to match up with whomever is the uh, best offense, which let's see who's the highest. Let's do slugging. Who is the best slugging team? Oh
How
no,
about
it's all
OPS?
yeah, we could do OPS. That's a good idea. Let's do uh to get by the way, it looks weird. To get OPS, you would have to be on the screen I'm talking about where you've looked up this team totals and you need advanced categories. There's a drop down for categories. You click on advanced, and the column is PP, which I'm not sure why they've named it that way, but that's OPS. Uh, my hypothetical experiment is ruined because Show also has the best OPS.
He matchmaked himself.
Uh, that's okay though. We can salvage this because how about we just go to the highest ERA team because he's not gonna have both of those.
Imagine just
Imagine
like
that would mean that every single person has the same ERA then.
that means he's underperforming. It's like that was true. Actually, even with just those two categories there, like maybe he's like the dark horse to pick it up even more and really go far.
I mean that definitely could be true. I mean he's what would we say he is fifth, sixth, I think right now. So he's right in the middle. The highest ERA is Rachel. So hypothetically, again, playing matchmaker, uh, if Show wants something from Rachel, she has the biggest need in pitching. If you're a proponent of ERA, and he has the least need in pitching, so that might be an avenue. You're actually the next highest ERA, so maybe you'd fit in this category too. Uh,
I,
so that's what you can do. You can look at like pick a stat and look at the top, look at you, and then the opposite
mhm.
of you in
Yeah,
that same stat.
yeah. I've done that. I done that before a long time ago, and was a little more focused on the fantasy. But I forget. Are we still doing keepers?
Of course, yes.
So see, here's another like wrench in that, is that maybe for Rachel, her focus isn't what you're saying. Her focus is to try to find someone that's like a high value player at relative to the keeper like
Oh,
selection.
okay. Yeah.
Basically just like, oh well, my team's not gonna make the playoffs, so let me just give up Paul Skeens and like, get something back for it.
Hey, don't give people ideas. Paul Skeens is my boy.
Well, I was talking
My
about like the actual Pirates, not the
team. Fair enough. Fair enough. You bring up a great point. You actually can see your keeper value, your round value of any of your team. If you click on your team, so the My Team button, you bring up your team, and one of the columns is just round value. That's the round you can keep from next year. And if it's 0, then that means you drafted them in round 1 this year, so you can't keep them at all. So that's another avenue to trade. I mean, it gets complicated. I imagine negotiations will be tense, but you could say, I'm offering you're giving me the better player in terms of points that will be scored, but I'm giving you the better value because my player can be kept later. That's
Mhm.
definitely an avenue.
But
I also would say you like we have the advantage of being in a Facebook group. So rather than like basically cold calling them by sending them a trade offer out of nowhere, it's gonna help to actually message them like, "Hey, I'm interested." Now
oh
that's
yeah,
human.
it's better to message
That's
someone.
human interaction. We're all scared of that. I understand, but that's gonna better your chances going forward.
Yeah, because you can explain yourself and say like, "Hey, like this or that." And also, let's just say in that example that you're a seller trying to keep like a high keeper value, you can give up multiple players because you don't really care about your team this year. So like you can win it that way pretty easily because now you can give up a lot more that way. And the other person will be enticed. It's like, oh, I am giving up a good player, but like I'm getting like a lot back. And because the other person's goal is just, or the goals are just different between the two. So it is a kind of thought. Of course, then the O and H can go even deeper and, you know, actually be the first O for O season for the whole season. So there's also that.
Let's not have that. I know I need some work to get to my 7 wins here that I guessed. Last matchup that I'd like to look at, of course, is you're our guest, so we should look at your matchup. We mentioned earlier that you did get this win over Jamie, and uh, I will say it was a below average performance overall, but it was enough. The win was a win, was a win. Uh, just blindly from the outside looking in, as I scroll down, it does seem like the stats don't lie. Like the group of 6 starters plus Grant Holmes in the relief slot, who actually did a great job. Uh, your collection of starters is where your weak link, it appears, and especially Sonny Gray. Funny enough, surprised you even have him. I thought the PTSD would prevent you from having Sonny
Can't
Gray.
be biased.
Uh,
Can't be
yeah.
biased.
And Chad Green again. Uh, the Like he lost you a lot of points. That is tough. I mean, Sonny Gray, like all jokes aside, is a high ranked pitcher, like preseason rankings. So that hurts to have like a top pitcher of yours. Like if he's not going to support you, then it really puts a wrench in your plans.
Yeah. Anytime like like pitchers, like they can hurt you. Like hitters, it's harder for them to like hurt you, but pitchers can like really hurt you. So yeah, when people like that, those negative points can really start adding up. So, but it averaged out, and you scratch the win. Like you said, a win is a win. So hopefully next week they come in and dominate.
Yeah, and obviously you're in a better position than Rachel or even Andrew. But a lot of what we talked about today is going to apply to you as well. You're like you're not that you don't need to reveal your secrets here, as I'm sure you want to keep it close to the vest. But hypothetically, if you identified pitching as a weakness, you then have to identify something else as a strength if you were going for the trade route. And then alternatively, if you're going for the free agency route, you'd have to identify like what spot can I gain a competitive edge against other people. Is it going to be started? Maybe it's as simple as starters. I mean, there are a lot of starters out there, but are any of them trustworthy? Is maybe it's picking the right guy at the right time, like find whoever's playing the Rockies every week, for example. Of course, that's scary too because they could be playing in Colorado. But
I have done that though. Like I've picked like starters and like I would like look like when I used to really look at deep, I was like, oh whoa, they'd be pitching at the Rocky Stadium, so then I'm not gonna put them in. And like put somebody else in. And yeah, I don't know if it worked out. Maybe sometimes did, maybe it didn't sometimes. But it's a little bit harder to tell because there isn't like any wow players that makes it obvious to trade. In the past there was more. I mean, just look at my like one of my top picks, or maybe it was my number one pick, Juan Soto. Like he's doing well, but he's underperforming like of what he should be. So
sure, like
hard.
he is the 31st ranked player right now overall, which is actually let me just make sure that's not. Yes, I believe that is correct. Let's make sure that wasn't 31st outfielder. Uh, so that is excellent, right? Like compared 31 out of however many. Actually, you could think of it this way: there are 9 hitters started in their lineup, and just 12 of us. So that's 108. So he's at least 31st out of 108 starters on our team. So that's excellent, right? But preseason rankings was number 4, and he was your first round pick, as you said. Uh, and again, you do what you want. This is not me telling you what to do, but Juan Soto feels like something like there's nothing actionable here. Like you're gonna start him every week. I don't think there's anything anyone could offer you in a trade to make you accept right now, at least. Maybe come trade deadline, you change your mind. But right now, I doubt someone could offer you something better than Juan Soto. So this is one of those things where you just gotta ride it out.
Yeah, just kind of ride it out. It's like it's not like I'm trying to tank and then trade all my players because I'm still kind of in it. So it's not like I would trade Soto if I wanted to do the route of like getting a good keeper value. So yeah, just got to keep them, and that's what makes the trades tough because it's like something it has to make sense for both sides. It's not like in video games where you can have forced trades on.
Love force trades.
Just send my
Uh,
injured O'Neill to was that Tyler O'Neill? Is that his name?
Tyler O'Neill. Oh yeah. Yep.
Or Nolan Arenado and just like send it to you and just like take like your best player.
Uh, I also it's important for me as commissioner just to throw this out there. As debuted last season, that will happen again this season. You will get nothing for ending up as the 11th and 12th place team in the league. That is the reason you picked 5th and not like 1st or 2nd, because you were not 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th. You were 11th or 12th. So that's just a little defense against total tanking. But the sentiment still is true. Like in theory, if you think you're out of it, you could make trades to better yourself for the future. It just will not benefit you in a draft pick if you do that so much that you're last place or second to last place.
Yeah, just all depends on the situation.
Yeah, if you want to thread the needle, be my guest, but that'll be very annoying if you like have the worst season ever and then don't even get a good draft pick for it.
I got nothing to show for it. I think my cousin was telling me about like basketball where it's like it's different. It's like a lottery system, like the drafting, and it's like a bad team, or maybe it was the Suns or something. Like they got like a really bad pick or something, even though they're like a bad,
Yeah,
but something like that.
it actually just happened in baseball. They added a draft lottery, it's a modified like a version of one. But the thing is, we just don't pay attention to the MLB draft. It
That's
is what
true.
it is. I mean, at least let's just say most people don't, because the person you draft is years away if they ever show up anyway.
Yeah, I barely even pay attention to the people in the minors. Like even like up, like only until you like hit AAA, then I'll be like paying attention a little bit. So
I see. But yeah, so just to wrap up our fantasy section here with our latest power rankings. Pleased to report that the Pop and Soda cans have advanced to number 1 in the power rankings, followed by Show, Nate, Nick, Eric. Mehtab sees himself bump up back up to 6th, which is scary for the rest of us. We anyone who did not take advantage of Mehtab may regret it now that he's about to go on a potential winning streak.
a tear.
Yeah, and then Brian at 7. So again, that's myself, Show, Nate, Nick, Eric, Mehtab, and Brian. Right now, power ranked in the top 7. That's a combination of your current record, your points for, and your record if you faced everybody every week. And then CBS just like merges that all together to say who they think is the best overall team. So we'll see if that sticks. We'll see which one of these managers can really show their stuff. I want to address one thing before we move on to our IRL segment. There's some chatter about manager stats, fantasy manager stats. We've talked about a couple episodes ago. It's on the manager stats page under standings. Right now, in terms of points earned and lost, it's Rachel, who we've been mocking basically the whole episode. She has the highest points earned and lost. And there's some asterisks, but at the end of the day, it is where it is. And you know what? It may have shown up last week where she scored all those points. Now, carrying injured players that are not in your IL spots, that's gonna juice up these numbers a bit, but still, just saying, it's out there. I like the total coaching risks column, which is like how many times you did something against the advice of the experts. So like Phil's up there, Show's up there, Mehtab's up there. Phil, a little alarming. Maybe there's a quirk with who he has on his team. Like maybe there's some injured players that's causing this. It says that he's gone against the extras 12 times and it's only worked out twice. That's not good. That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it's a good stat to have then, because it might tell you like maybe I should listen to the experts.
Here, this is the expert. And then which when they say experts, they mean like the projected points that you see in the app or in the website. So yeah, give it a look. They might just help you be a better manager. Maybe not. Speaking of, so we've talked about how to be the best. Some managerial strategies you can do as a fantasy manager. In real life baseball, we've seen a bunch of managers not do a great job, or at least be accused of not doing a good job, and lose their job. Like we already had 3 firings this year, and several like over the past couple of years. So I want to talk about. Let's just try to break down like what do we care about in a manager anyway. So let's just start there. Let's not get into Brandon Hyde and Derek Shelton, Bud Black yet. But like, you want a good manager. What's the first thing that comes to mind as a good manager?
I guess just being generally a good leader and having the respect of your club and just being efficient at what you're supposed to do as a manager and keeping good control of your staff. You don't want to be too much in one direction, like too strict or too weak and jokingly and friendly. You got to have a good middle ground, something along those lines.
I'm surprised you went there. Like a lot of people would have started with like in-game decision making, because that's probably what you see. Like you see with your eyes that the most when those things work out.
That's like another thing. It's a push and pull. You don't want to be too much by feelings, and you can't be too like hard on like the stats. Like you need to have flexibility. You need to be kind of like in the middle, good sweet spot.
what annoys you the most? Because I mean, this is the advantage. We're Yankees fans, so we have our own world we live in here. So, what annoys you the most about our manager, Aaron Boone? Because I imagine that could help us build if we know what not to have. That would help us build our ideal manager.
Yeah, let me tell you, you know this, but I'll just put it out in the open here. I am not a fan of this man. I despise him. And it's been like built up year upon year upon year because it's been so many years and he just has like tenure and immunity for some reason. He must have some dirt on somebody. It's the only like logical thing I could think of. But the thing that I don't like about him is that he doesn't seem to have a pulse of the game. Like I said, like sometimes like some do too much towards the stats and some are just too by feelings. He's too much by like the analytics. Like it's like, oh, like this guy needs to like be here. Like and like you look with your eyes and like this guy has no command. I don't care if he's been like the greatest closer like for like several years. Like this person right now, or maybe even just like the past couple of games, like Williams is a perfect example. Like it's like many games where it's like, okay, it's getting pretty obvious and he doesn't deserve your trust. He's not been on this team and he just keeps breaking it back there, just like running it back and running it back. And then I remember that game, I think it was against the Blue Jays. I was like, right before I saw Williams get in the game, I was like, this game is over. He's going to blow it because it was just that obvious. Because even the wins that Williams got were shaky. So it's just, not getting better. So just, he doesn't have a pulse of the game. He's too like friendly. He's like a player manager. It's like he wants to be everybody's best friend. You got like Josh Donaldson like pimping home runs, and it's not even a home run. It's like off the wall, and he only gets a single, and it doesn't even happen once. It happened many times, and then he'll be like laughing about it in like the dugout with them. It's like high five, like oh, good job, and it's like all right, come on, dude, like you're like tolerating this nonsense, and then like people are not hustling, and it's like yeah, that's perfectly fine, no issues there. And those are the two biggest things. I guess you can say goes back to the analytics. He's like a puppet. Oh, and here's another one. He like complains about the strike zone too much, like as if like that's the reason. Of course, that's always like a factor, but like usually like it's going to be affecting everybody. But he like thinks it's like, oh, it's the strike zone, it's all that, it's every like it's against us. I got to go yell at the umpires, and it's just like, no, man, like eh, sometimes like it's not the strike zone, it's like the umpires doing it against both teams. So he just needs to calm down sometimes and not get thrown out of games. I think he's controlled that a bit. So that's the nice part. But yeah, that's pretty much the big things I could think about Boone.
So that was very well said. Well done. I agree with a lot of what you said. To recap though, we're looking for in-game feel. That I think to quantify it, we could say like willing to go off script, like for a
Uh-huh.
reason. Because I like being prepared. Like there are managers that are just on not ready for a situation. They don't know what they're gonna do. So I do think they go into the game with a plan of how the game's gonna play out. So what we want is like the proper game feel to know when to change the plan.
Yeah.
And we also so then there's the friendliness of the player, like being a player's manager. So it's probably like be a manager that maybe like inspiring manager, like
Hmm.
something that makes you want to give 110% every day, like be better every day. Because because you're right. If you're a drill sergeant as a manager, eventually I want to give less than 100% to spite you because like I'm annoyed at you. So that would be bad.
Yeah.
S- So you need maybe inspire, I don't know, motivating maybe is the word, like someone I just like, let's do it for him kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
and I think the players do feel because like they like him. They want to protect Boone. Like they'll have their managers back. But like you then things like this happen where like I'm sure you remember this where Gary Sanchez, who is lazy, okay? All right, and I'll prove it by this. Okay, there was a pass ball, there was a runner at second base, and that runner at second base goes from second to third to home because he's just trotting towards the ball. And even his own teammate, the pitcher, Luis Severino, he turned his back on him. He's like, I can't believe that just happened because you're just too lazy to go after the ball. As if like you're a slugger who's like hitting like 40 home runs this year. Like he's like hitting terribly offensively. And does something happen to Gary? No, nothing happened to him. Everything just, run the course. Like probably didn't even say anything to him. It's like, oh, it's fine. Or like Gleyber Torres when he's like sleeping on plays. And then it took like 4 years until he, like, finally benched him or whatever. It's, like, finally reprimanded him, and it's like, oh, it's just too much. Just too friendly. No one's gonna, like, take him seriously. They'll respect him as a friend, but they're not gonna respect him as, like, a boss. Just wild, wild west here.
understood. So what about just like wins and losses? Like you have to like losing games usually gets you fired, I think. So the it's fair to say that the inverse should help you not get fired. And we don't have to talk about Boone. We could talk about other
Mhm,
people for a bit here. So the managers that got fired recently, uh I have their win percentage while they were a manager and like what that would be for a whole season. So multiplied by 162. So for the Orioles, Brandon Hyde in his about 6 seasons, the numbers I calculated are going to be a little bit just the way I calculated a little bit off, but it should be close. So in about 6 seasons, Brandon Hyde brought the Orioles to an average of a 74 win pace.
mhm,
It sounds very bad. It is important to note that in that time, they were tanking, and then they did go to the playoffs twice, and then the start of this season has been just awful for them.
mhm, mhm.
Uh, so what do you think? Just like, well, I guess two things. First of all, like your thoughts on just results mattering, and then Brandon Hyde's results.
Yeah, so, like, you know me, I'm the type of person of, like, results matter. It's like, oh, like, anything before that, like, the stuff, underneath that, it's like, at the end of the day, results matter. Interestingly enough, for this, I will say results don't matter as much, uh, because it's all about context, right? Like, what do you do? Like, you got, like, that, like, all-star team, uh so, like, you got 100 wins that year, like, that's not that impressive, because, like, the roster you have. What would be very impressive is, like, if you have, like, a really, like, garbage team and you elevate them. Like, that's why I say, like, context matters. Or, like, if you have a really good team, like, in terms of, like, your roster makeup and they, like, surprisingly underperform, yeah, that makes you look really bad. So it's all about like context. That's why it's like a little bit hard. Even like I know you have your like information ready to look at for all the managers, but really it matters of context. So like I have like general ideas. So like you mentioned the Orioles manager. So I will just say he did a bad job by the end because the beginning, fine, you can tank. You just have bad players on your team or just really young players. But then that trough comes and you should be turning it around. And they did for a season. And then like you tank again. So like can never say it's 100% the manager's fault. But like I would say that firing is justifiable because it's like, no, like things shouldn't be turning around. You shouldn't be taking a step or two back. So I will say in that case, it was, acceptable, that firing.
And by the way, uh, if regular season numbers don't impress you, I got his playoff stats, which is they made the playoffs twice, and their winning percentage in those playoff games was 0, as they were
Uh,
swept out both times.
that makes it look worse, but not as much as you would think because playoffs is just it's just different. Not even every team makes it, so it's just easier to just compare regular season.
Now, for the Pirates, Derek Shelton is basically the same situation, except and they didn't even make the playoffs. So they also tanked, and they're not ready. They're not a good enough team yet. He was there for about 5 seasons. His winning percentage is even worse. It's on pace for 66 wins over all that time.
Right.
So this, I don't know. Maybe I'm just gonna group him with just like a worse Brandon Hyde, slash also worse team, but worse results. So like in the end, I think it all averages out to just he's
Yeah,
not needed.
I disagree because like the Pirates just have a garbage roster for like basically the post Andrew McCutcheon years. I think he's back on the Pirates, right? But like the original run, uh, like the Pirates are just a bad team, bad roster. So it's like that context there. So it's like I can't really. I would actually say Hyde did worse with the Orioles because like he should have done better of the roster, like particularly like the
Okay.
recent years, because like he got the players, he did improve, the numbers were good, and then now it's like bad again, a lot worse too. It's not even like a little bit. So yeah, I would actually say like Shelton over Hyde.
Tells over Hyde. I mean, maybe you know how people always call like fire Boone, and the response is, "Well, get who?" So maybe the get who is Derek Shelton. You want Derek Shelton?
I didn't say that specifically, but literally, if it's just the keep Boone, keep the status quo, and just keep running it back versus just literally anybody else. I'm not even joking. I would take a monkey. Like, I'm not joking. No, because I'll tell you about it, like, in relative to the stock market. Apparently, they did, like, a study where, like, they compared, like, these, like, Wall Streeters versus, like, monkeys, and, like, monkeys, like, just threw, like, darts at, like, a newspaper, and, like, they had, like, stocks on it or something. It was something like that, where, like, a list of, like, stocks in the stock market, and they just threw a dart. Those monkeys did better than the Wall Streeters. There's something I don't know the exact study, like, it's like this, like with Boone, it's like I'd rather have the monkey, like, throw a dart or just, like, pick something, like when to change a relief pitcher and which pitcher to pick, and I'm sure the monkey would do a better job.
Tell me how you really feel. Well, okay. So then, now for the Rockies, Bud Black. Here's the difference with him. I'd like to. I think this is gonna be an interesting point. So he was actually in between those two in terms of win percentage. His team's an average of 71 wins. And also made the playoffs twice, by the way, with a 200 win percentage. So they won a couple games. But here's the big difference. He's been around for over 8 years as the Rockies manager. I think a time does come. I think there's like
Mhm.
it's gotten stale. So regardless of these results, like I think there's a range where like once you enter this range, like pretend it's 8. Like I mean it's probably less than 8, but like once you get cross a line, like even if things are great, like the game has advanced, and I can't know for sure that you've advanced as a manager during that time. So we should mix it up. So I got no problem. I mean, the rest is to say what you said about the Pirates is definitely true for the Rockies. They've had nothing all these years, but it's overdue for a change anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's 8 years, it's not like he's like his team is doing well this year, they're doing historically bad, so it's like it's chances are, like, you should probably, like, look at each year in the roster and just, like, be like, "Okay, what do you kind of feel like is the expected wins? What did you end up winning?" But 8 years is long enough, so, yeah, especially it's a perfect time to do it too. It's like, are the fans really gonna complain? I mean, it's like a 7-33 record, like, yeah, like, they're gonna want him gone too, so, yeah, it's, like, also a good time to change managers and change their pace, and maybe perhaps because of this change they'll get to your what was you were saying, like, they're gonna be above 50 wins?
55 on the
55
dot.
wins. Not even 50 wins. So went above and beyond, went to 55.
Because we all imagined 60 as like an awful, truly awful season. So I went 5 below that.
And I agree with you. Like, basically, like, the way I think about it is, like, 100 losses is, like, a really bad season. And then, uh, 50 wins, like, once you get below 50 wins, which isn't, like, super duper rare, like, it happens, not as frequently, but it does happen. Like, you're just, like, an awful team. Like, it was just atrocious year. And then the pace of the Rockies is just, as we said, historically bad. Gotta go over back 100 years to, like, compare their
Yeah.
pace, at least,
Yeah.
so far, so, yeah.
So ultimately, I don't think we have any problems with those guys getting fired, but I'll just
Mhm.
try to work to identify the reasons you would fire someone, and therefore reasons you would keep someone. So we're building it up.
Yeah.
Now the next challenge to you is, uh, what about just very like winning managers? Like these managers win a lot. Like, is that enough? So the winningest manager in the regular season is Dave Roberts of the Dodgers, and he's been criticized almost every single season he's been Dodgers manager. He shares that with Aaron Boone, who's also been
Well,
criticized every single year he's been a manager. So let's see who else is here. That's interesting. Funny enough, another Yankees manager, Joe
Joe
Girardi, is
Girardi,
on this
yeah,
list.
yeah, I wanna talk about him.
And then throw in the Braves manager, Brian Stedker.
Yeah, so, like,
Also,
it's the same thing, it's context. Like, you're given a great team, and, like, the expectations is, like, you're just not meeting them. I'm not saying that they didn't, but maybe with some fans, that you, like, with this roster should do really well, just like how those managers, like, it's expected that they're gonna do bad, but, it can't be historically bad. I mean, unless, like, the roster really is that bad, but, it's hard to say if it's really that bad. Maybe, like, with this new like, we'll find out when the new manager comes in and their on-pace record isn't 30 wins, and it changes to, like, 45 wins by the end of the year, then you kinda confirm yourself. So, yeah, just, with those kind of managers, and plus, like, it's a little bit different because now we have to add in the playoffs part. Like, if let's just say, like, I was a fan, or most fans, they didn't care about the playoffs really. It was just like, "Oh, like, if you make the playoffs, then I'm, like, a really happy fan." But, like, when you're, like, Yankees and Dodgers, like, expectations are higher. We're not like the Minnesota Twins, or, like, what's it called? Even, like, the Rockies, or, what's a low, like, like, the Royals, right, in general. Uh,
I love that you're sharing in my disrespect for the Central divisions. Good,
yes.
good.
Um, like, things are different, expectations are different, so, like, sure, Boone is, and this is why they keep him around, like, he wins regular seasons, even though it's not because of his managerial skills, it's just, like, the roster, but, like, it ends up working out that way. So they're happy, they're satisfied, the upper management. Of course, they would wanna win a World Series, but they're generally satisfied in terms of business, and in terms of just, like, general-ish fan happiness, so, yeah, I it just depends, like, maybe the criticism, we know Boone the most, so his criticisms are fair, definitely fair. I don't know about Dave Roberts because I don't watch enough Dodgers, baseball to be like, "Yeah, he's made some, like, pretty bad decisions." But he is coming off of a World Series, but he did have, like, a really good roster, but technically he still won the World Series, so I will
And it's
say,
his second World Series as Dodgers manager, don't
mm,
forget.
eh, okay.
A win is a win is a win.
Okay,
That's
so,
what I always say.
like, if, they paid off, like, the super scandal, they paid off the other team to just, like, take the fall. A win's a win's
Oh,
a win.
so the Black Sox,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the win. At least to them, they can sleep easy in their beds. A
Well,
win
I
is a
didn't say
win.
no, they didn't win a ring. I just said, you know, beating around
Uh,
the bush.
okay, so how about Joe Girardi's on this list.
Perfect.
For his Yankees tenure, but he won a World Series in his second year. And then eventually criticisms came, but he had that championship. So how much? I mean, does that just excuse everything? I mean, you're a world champion.
He gives you more credibility because he was here for 10 years and it was just one World Series. So it's not the worst, but yeah, it was a long period. But you say there was no criticisms. Perhaps there was because don't forget his first year they did not make the playoffs. It was like a 20 plus year or not 20, whatever it was, like close to 20, 15 years of just like making the playoffs in a row. So like that must have left a bad taste in fans' mouth and probably criticized him. But looking back, not especially so that season, but the other season, there was a lot of injuries that year. I mean, literally we had to get like Sidney Ponson and Richie Sexton, like Richie Sexton, like more like out of his prime to like come in and like knock the roster down. Or Pudge Rodriguez, same thing. He was not prime Pudge because we all know Brian Cashman loves his former like MVPs or former great players. He
Which,
doesn't
by the
like
way, is another that's another great podcast topic. It was just like what makes a good GM at that point. But for future episode. No, you're right. Joe Girardi starts off shock. Like if you're the first manager to just not guess in the playoffs in age, or just the first season not being in the playoffs in ages. I mean, you could have been fired right then and there. He isn't, and then wins the World Series, and then like slowly we get worse and like fade away to the end. But that first, I mean, my opinion, that an early championship definitely like you get years of leeway after that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Once he won that, yes, you're right. He could have been fired the first year, which I'm glad he wasn't because, like I said, if you really look at that '08 season, it wasn't his fault because it was a mixture of a lot of injuries. Maybe not season-ending injuries for everybody, but like definitely injuries like all around. I remember A-Rod being missing for a while, Posada for a really long time. So like he has to deal with that. He has to deal with underperformance too by some of those kind of players. And I remember the '07 season like had like Phil Hughes and like Ian Kennedy as their starters. So like they were pretty kind of low on starters in '08. So Chime Wong, another injured person that year, like he has to deal with all of that. So it's like context. Now the easier one is because that one it's like you might say like you might look at the roster and say no, like they should have made the playoffs, even though they were still like decently winning team, right? They were above 500. The actual thing that makes me more impressed, actually more impressed than his '09 season, that's the World Series year, is his 2013 and 2014 campaign. Because those are 2 years the Yankees did not make the playoffs. But if you look at that roster, you look at those teams, you look at those stats of those players, he elevated those players. And he squeezed more wins than what at least I expected, even in hindsight or even during. He squeezed more wins than that. If Aaron Boone was in those positions, I don't even think that team would even win 70 games either of those years.
It'd be the first. It'd be Brian Cash would not be able to say that we've never been under 500 for 30 years anymore.
Yep. Yeah, Aaron Boone would have ruined that because Aaron Boone, he came in 2018 when all the good players were already there, not where Joe Girardi were all the aging players or those 2 years where everybody was injured. And then like after 2013, 14, now you have to deal with like Teixeira and A-Rod. Jeter's gone, Teixeira and A-Rod getting older and breaking down and this and that. Because like 15, we lost the wild card. And then 16 didn't make the playoffs. And then 17 was just like a random year. And then like, but we like went above and beyond. I mean, the fact that like that they said that the owner was like, yeah, even if he won the World Series, like we were like, or pretty much no matter what, we were going to fire him. So I'm like, okay, so if he won the World Series, you're telling me you're going to fire him? Like, well, what is that going to tell everybody? It's like, oh, you won a World Series for us? Like, nah, we don't like that. Like, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, that would push me. I just finished saying that I feel like there's a limit in years. That would have put me to the test because that would have been 10 years. That's a long time. 10 years. But he just won the World Series. What do I do about that? See, I'd have to hope that the person's old and I can persuade them like you've had a great run. Don't you want to go out on top and retire?
No, but like he just won a World Series. Why would you want to say that to them?
because you want to go out on top. Unfortunately, Joe Girardi was young, so that would probably not have worked.
No, I mean, like, the times that you run it back, I don't like when we run things back, but the times you run it back is when you won a World Series. Like the 09 team, they keep as much as you can for the 2010 team, which they kind of somewhat did. And, they had a pretty decently successful year that year. They didn't win the pennant, but, they were pretty good. Can't win it every year, even with the same exact roster. But that's when you would run it back. Like,
well, okay. So how about this? It sounds like so far. So we talked about being able to, as a manager, being able to have enough in-game awareness to change the plan. So we talked about that. We talked about being a motivator, getting your players to give their 110%. And then what this conversation was about is results matter. So results relative to expectation. I think that's a good way to summarize it. And you can decide what sample size you want, but whatever it is, like maybe you pick 3 years. So your results in those 3 years relative to what the team was expected to do in those 3 years. So we got all those things. But now I challenge you with Coach Andrew's team's manager, Alex Cora. So as manager of the Red Sox, he actually does have he has a winning regular season win percentage. I will give you that right now as 86 wins in his 4-5 seasons. This is a little weird because he got suspended at one point.
and yeah.
But so the numbers are a little messed up, but you could just say 2020, 21, 2, 3, 4 this year. He's been to the playoff twice. In those 2 playoff runs, their playoff win percentage is superb. It's 680 because in 2018, they absolutely crushed everyone. And by the way, won the World Series, which most people on my list can't say. But they basically did run it back. And in the seasons that they were not in the playoffs, they were quite terrible. So it kind of puts you in a pretzel. So what do you make of Alex? Because Alex Cora seemed to meet our criteria of good manager.
Absolutely. I mean, he runs circles around Boone any day. He elevates his players. Definitely. I mean, the fact that Mookie Betts had like a career year in 2018 and Cora before the season or something like went to Betts is like, you're like the best player in the league, right? And Mookie Betts is like, you know what? I am the best player in the league, and just like has like a career year that year. And then you got like Boone here, like with like look at Gleyber Torres, he's having a pretty good year this year, and it's like, oh, well, I was not like that for the Yankees. I'm not counting his first 2 years because the ball was like juice. So yeah, he definitely elevates his players and gets the most out of them, and actually like benches people. Didn't he like bench like was it Verdugo that wasn't hustling? Someone wasn't hustling and he benched. I think it was Verdugo.
Yes.
That's why Verdugo left.
Yes.
And it didn't wait. It didn't take him like 4 years of dealing with this nonsense to finally like put his foot down. Which probably, Aaron Boone, it probably wasn't even his decision. His daddy Cashman had to come and call him. Was like, like you should do this. I said, oh, I should do that. Oh, okay, master, I'll follow your. I'm the puppet and you are the master. I will follow your words. Yeah, Alex Cora doesn't seem like a puppet too. Yeah, that's like another thing.
Yeah, he's an interesting case because like the years they made the playoffs, they were great. But it's a lot of losing seasons too, or like not in contention season. So it is mixed. There's also, and I understand this is not a Red Sox podcast, and we don't have Coach Andrew with us this week. But about the there's been a lot of drama this year. It's been the Rafael Devers drama of not feeling like he was mistreated and told to throw away his glove, to not be a permanent DH, and then being potentially asked to go to first base, which he very publicly refuses. Like that is very public drama. And I mean, one job of a manager you could say is to avoid public drama. So I don't know. Like, I mean, I would just throw that into the calculations.
I mean, I think that's just more fault of the player, because he's like, talking to the media and this and that, and not handling it well. So I don't know. I don't really blame Cora as much. It's also the team situation as well. It is like unfortunate. You're telling him like, okay, you're going to be third baseman. Oh, never mind. You're not going to be third baseman. Uh, or I think maybe originally they were telling him to play second, or they were going back and forth between
Well,
him.
because they were targeting Alex Bregman, and the word was Alex Bregman might move to second base, and so
Yeah.
Devers would stay where he is. But
Mhm.
ultimately, after they sign him, they revealed that Bregman's going to stay at third base.
Yeah.
Which forces Devers to DH.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, then it's like pick up another. I kind of get that, especially since he had those early season struggles with the bat. So it's like could be worrying for him. He's like, no, like it's a little risky. I don't want to like rock the boat. Well, like he was trying to turn it around. So no, I don't really put the blame on Cora on that one as much. So it doesn't dampen my feelings towards him, or what does dampen is maybe like the trash can stuff and cheating scandal. Like, yeah,
Well,
but that's
but
a little
that
bit
was
different.
not
He
that
wasn't a
wasn't
manager. It
manager.
was a
He
manager.
was
Yes, it's more just on his like personal rap sheet.
Yeah. So the last thing I just noticed, by the way, is I just have all the 30 current managers. Almost everyone is like 2 years or less right now. Like the long-standing managers are Kevin Cash, Dave Roberts, Brian Snitker, Troy Lavello, which is the Diamondbacks, the Dave Martinez, Aaron Boone, and Rocco Baldelli. Because after that, AJ Hinch and Alex Cora are there. That's because they're that's from the cheaters, from the trash can people. Um, keep an eye on Rocco Baldelli, because the Twins, whenever they do make the playoffs, they just lose every time. So
But
eventually,
that's a curse of
throw
the Twins, though.
curse of the Twins. But at some point, just throw that in the calculation too. Like playoff success. Like if you keep going, if you're successful in the regular season, but then get embarrassed every year in the playoffs, that should matter to you. Uh, so yeah, so one more time, it looks like our ideal manager here. We've got feel for the game, which is displayed by knowing when to change from the plan. We like that you have a plan and you know when is the best time to divert from the plan. Like you have a schedule to use a pitcher every, like you're gonna get 2 days off or something. But give them the Java rules or something. But there's a moment when you know you have to divert from them. Either use them when you're not supposed to, or you
Uh-huh.
have a starting pitcher, and in our brains, we think 100 pitches is the limit, but just like you might want to go over, sometimes, no, he looks shaky at 70 pitches. Like, let me not let him keep going just because he has a low pitch count if he looks like he's about to lose us the game. So that too, throw that in there. So being able to divert.
Not
Then
gaslighting.
not gaslighting.
Like when a player is like bad and it's like you can like I understand with media, like don't be like trash talking them, but you can say like, yeah, they're struggling or they're doing bad.
I see you're saying. Okay.
Instead of saying like he's a great player. He's a great player. Like he's gonna turn around, look at the back of his baseball, like that kind of nonsense. I can't deal with it. When it's like Josh Donaldson, like 2 years of this nonsense already. It's like, don't gaslight us, man.
Yeah. Unless you're right. Again, you mentioned Alex Cora and Mookie Betts. Like if you're right, you say he's the best and he actually is the best. Well, then
Yeah, well, that's like immediate. And like the prior years, he didn't like stink. Let's just say the same example with Josh Donaldson. Like there's, I don't like just like gaslighting. Like as if we're like dumb, or just like bringing in a pitcher that hasn't pitched for like 45 days, that didn't have that great of a season. It's like, oh no, he's pitched really well against Shohei Ohtani. Like, yeah, let's like bring him in, and he's like a lefty. Let's ignore Tim Hill, who's been doing great this postseason. This is the
yeah,
move to
exactly.
make.
Yeah, that all falls under be prepared, but know when it's appropriate to divert from the plan. And also, you need some skill to be able, because that's going with feel at that point. Like it's not pre-planned, so you actually have to be good at that too. Like you're gonna divert from the plan, but you don't want to be picking at random. There should be like a reason at this. Like that would be like I have a plan to use Nestor against Otani. But then in the middle of the game, he's like, actually, it doesn't feel right. But then instead of, he's like, well, you know what does feel right? I'm gonna bring in Jose Trevino to fish it. Like, okay, you changed the plan, but you made a dumb, stupid decision. So
Well,
obviously,
no,
it can't be.
position players are usually the lowest TRAs. No, yeah, no, should be no. That should never have even been the plan. Like that just has no sense. That's another moment. Like I told you about the Devin Williams one where I knew I was like, the game is over. We're losing it. That was another moment. And I'm not saying I'm even that smart. It was like everybody can see it. And it's like, why are you bringing this guy in? I wouldn't
Yeah,
even hesitate if it was Garrett Cole and it was like 45 days off or whatever it was and injured and stuff like that. And he hasn't pitched at all until like that moment. Even in that moment, I'll be like, whoa, chill. Or Max Free. Let's just pretend Max does what he does the rest of the year. And then injured report about even like that one, I would hesitate. Like Nestor Cortez probably had like a 4-something ERA that year. And it was just like, sometimes I wanted like him to take an IQ test. Like I really think he's either just really stupid or just really just like oblivious. Like can't like just got to follow the stats. It's like hello, like he's from a baseball family, grandfather, father, and him. Like it just blows my mind. So
yeah, makes sense. But so, okay, so that's all, feel for game and making in-game decisions. That kind of the catch-all. We'll lump in like all your bullpen decisions, your lineup decisions. We can lump that all together. Then there's the results relative to expectations. Plus, we can merge that with like inspiring your guys because this is all, can you get the best out of your guys ultimately? Because the results above expectation is just like, okay, at the end of the day though, how many wins did you get? So we want to acknowledge that wins matter. So this is, does your team play hard for you, and then does that result in more wins than was expected for your team? So we can throw that in. And just I think when you were talking about like don't gaslight us, I think you just mean like don't annoy me when you have your press conference. I feel like that's actually what that is. Like if Boone just wouldn't say nothing, he'd just be like no comment, no comment, no comment to all his answers. You would actually like him more
yes,
compared to his actual answers.
keyword more. That means I want him to answer questions. Like you don't need to smack talk your players, but don't like hide the truth or like lie or just like brush it under the rug. Like make them own it a little bit and call them out. Especially when it's like things like they're just like sleeping or just like not paying attention, or Jazz Chisholm like not just throwing the ball to second base or running to second base, just throws the ball to like first, and then the guy that's at first just runs to second. Like, why did you not get the lead runner out? Like, I'm sure he did not even get recommended. He probably got like a gift basket from Boone. Good job, good try there.
Good try. And I do want to say my opinion on this is I agree with the conclusions we've made here today, but also there is a limit to how much the Magic can help though.
Yes,
Like
correct.
imagine like my scales from -10 to +10 and this like helpfulness. I don't even think anyone can get above +3. I think like the best managers are only that, because the impact of just the players' skill
Yeah,
themselves just
absolutely.
out. Now in the other direction, you can go real far down that list.
Yeah,
Like in
yeah.
ways you can hurt the team.
Mhm.
That's so technically, like it definitely matters. Like if other managers are a -6, but you're a +1, well, that is a real advantage. That's good.
Yeah.
But ultimately, there's not like a, if there was a war for managers, like at best 2 is
Yeah.
what I'm gonna give them.
Yeah. Like you can't measure this, but like imagine, let's just say Dave Roberts, right? Over 100 wins last year. Uh Imagine if we just took him last year and had him manage, I don't know, let's say the Rockies, right? Or what was another bad team last year?
The Marlins.
Marlins, yeah, that's a good example. So would those teams become 100-win teams? No, of course not. The question is, how much better would they be, or worse? Like, let's say the Marlins won 70 games last year, and he came in last year and like took over as an alternate universe, and it was 65 wins. That tells me you're a worse manager. You just got a good team to stack you up. So yeah, no, it's you have a limit of your impact, but it's still an impact, and those impacts can make a difference, as per Aaron Boone in the World Series. You know, clear decisions that his fault, or even talk about that horrible fifth inning goes back to his lackadaisical attitude, lack of discipline in his players, and lack of fundamentals, which is like just a team issue, but he exacerbates it, and then you get that fifth inning where you just can't believe what you're watching. Like a bunch of little leaguers playing.
Yeah, I thought I would never think about that again, and thanks a lot. Thanks a
Well,
lot
I
for bringing
mean,
that up.
I have to. It's a good point, so can't not bring it up.
I love, like, I have a good point. But fair enough. Touche. That's all the time we have today. Thank you very much, Coach Viraj, for a great Aaron Boone bashing session.
Yes,
Plus
like
a podcast.
anytime with Aaron Boone, like I'll always get like revved up.
Yeah, we can do another episode where you can spend this whole 90 minutes only on Aaron Boone if you want.
Yeah, I could definitely go for hours, like smack talking him and how bad he is, and they can get a treat too in that one where I can imitate him. I do a great Aaron Boone imitation.
Ooh, see, that's a tease, and people will have to tune in next time to get the answers to that tease. Do you have any messages for the rest of the Road to Glory League before we end?
Live hard, try hard, die hard.
True words, never spoken. All right, folks. Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another episode of the Road to Glory Baseball podcast. And until we speak again, ciao.
See ya.
Every swing's a chance to take control.